5 minutes.
Jeff Jackson, 508 Oxford Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45244. I have some concerns as a resident of the township of 67 years. I don't know how that ever happened, but also as a past member of fire service and EMS service in Union Township. I spent 38 years of my life dedicated to the citizens of this township. My concerns, step back one, this is basically my concern. I haven't been persuaded by anyone, asked by anyone, or any group. And my interest in this discussion is to preserve the integrity of the township and special concern for the fire department. I have a list of concerns I'll read to you. If I may have the same consideration as the two ladies that spoke at the last meeting. They finished their document, asked questions. One lady spoke for 8 minutes and 32 seconds. The other one spoke for a little over 6 minutes. I'd like that same consideration if I may.
So I believe they spoke for 5 minutes, and then there was Q&A, which continued, but that was at the discretion of the board with Q&A.
If you check the tape, sir, it was 8 minutes and 32 seconds.
Please continue.
The job posting for fire chief was originally posted, as I'm sure as you all are aware, with an application return date by October 25th, 2023. On October 25th, 2023, another posting was issued, listed with the reduced qualifications and a due date by electronic submission as well, due on November 8th, 2023. Both postings required a cover letter, comprehensive resume, salary history, and 3 professional references. Item 2, on November 10th, 2023, I submitted a public records request for all the application documents, including cover letter, resume, references, and salary history, to Physical Officer Ron Campbell. After a short delay, I received all the requested documents. Upon review of the records, I noticed that Austin Clements had only submitted a cover letter while all the other applicants' paperwork was complete. Initial interviews were done of all the internal candidates as well as a few outside candidates by Administrator Corey Wright. At the completion of the initial interviews, the list of applicants was narrowed down to 3 finalists: Interim Fire Chief Mark Fife, Lieutenant Matt Terrell, and Lieutenant Austin Clements. On February 23rd, 24, 3 finalists were interviewed by the Board of Trustees during a special executive session. On Monday, February 26, 2024, it was announced that Austin Clements would be recommended to the position of Fire Chief at the Trustees meeting on February 27th. On February 28th, I filed a public records request with Physical Officer Ron Campbell requesting the following: a copy of the Union Township Policy Manual that was amended on February 27th, copies of Chief Clements' professional certifications as related to the fire service and emergency medical, and a copy of all interview documents pertaining to and including score sheets, evaluation sheets, and any notes. I received the public record, on March 4th, 2024, I received the public records requested via email from Administrator Wright, minus any interview scoring evaluation sheets, and did not receive a listing of references contacted. On March 5th, 2024, I reviewed the public record documents provided to me by Administrator Wright in detail. Upon review, I found 2 serious discrepancies that concern me. Number 1, included in the documents of the second records request were the resume, references, and salary expectations for Austin Clements. The resume, references, and salary history were not included in my original records request dated November 10th, 2023. Second item, as I reviewed Austin Clements' resume, it became very apparent he did not meet the minimum requirements of the job posting. that required 10 years of fire service experience and 5 years of supervisory experience. I also noted that Austin Clements did not possess the chief fire officer credential or the National Fire Academy Executive Fire Officer credential. Both of these credentials were listed as a requirement will have in the postings. As I further examined the requested documents, I noticed one letter of reference was dated January 8th, 2024.
Mr. Jackson, we have gone past 5 minutes now. Did you wind up getting all of the records that you
I did.
requested?
I
You
still
did get
have
them
no
all eventually?
questions, sir.
My
Give me
apologies for the delay.
One more minute and I'll be done here, if you don't mind.
Go ahead and wrap it up,
Thank
please.
you. To finish here, as I said, with that record request, I found resume and references as well as salary expectations. That leads me to believe that the references, resume, and salary history were not provided until January 8th, 2024. There was only one document in that whole set of documents that was dated, and it was a reference letter, dated that date. In conclusion, I believe that this is not appropriate. I've done 75 to 100 interviews myself during my career as assistant chief of the fire department. We always documented. If someone turned in an incomplete application, that was the end, they were done. They can't fill out an application, I don't need them. So to go on quickly, in my opinion, the applicant should not have even been allowed to continue based on the idea that he did not submit the proper documentation. After finding this discrepancy, I contacted Administrator Wright as to why this had occurred and requested an explanation. I received an email reply from Administrator Wright, and rightfully so, he said he was not employed at that time and had no knowledge of the situation. I find this very concerning. I find it very concerning that I was not given any type of documentation for interview scoring sheets, evaluation sheets, and the numerous interviews that we did at the fire department for new applicants or promotional situations. We always documented everything and went in the file with the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Can you help me understand how this occurred? And by any means, I'm not picking you out, beating up on you. I cannot understand how this man was promoted.
Well, I think he was promoted because the board thought he was the best man for the job based on the applicants that had occurred. You did mention, some interesting things about, qualifications and, we asked for 10 years and it was less than 10 years. I didn't realize that. I'm just hearing that for the first time tonight. I mean, I should have known that or caught that, but I didn't. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
He had 2 years, like 2+ years of supervisory experience with Union Township, and that was supervising one person. He also indicated in his cover letter that he was in charge as a dispatch liaison. I understand that occurred right before Chief Lyin left.
All right. Is there any other questions, comments from Mr. Jackson?
I'm looking for answers.
That's all I have. If our administrator will get back to you in the future if there's any additional follow-up.
Okay. Can I add one more thing real quick?
Briefly, please.
The reason that I am very concerned, and again, I'm not picking on Chief Clements. I did this for 38 years, and it burns in my heart forever. Once you're a firefighter, you're always a firefighter. My concern is, with the lack of experience, never being in a real command situation, what's going to happen when the big one hits? And let me give you an example. It's the worst scenario you can ever have. I hope it never happens. What happens when we show up on a fire scene, firefighters show up, apartment building's on fire, things are getting bad, people are trapped. What do firefighters do? They go in to make a rescue. When they go in to make that rescue, maybe not any fault of anyone, or maybe the fault of inexperience. You have a collapse. The building collapses. Your firefighters are now trapped, hollering for a mayday for help. 2 more firefighters go in. The condition gets worse. And they have a secondary collapse, and now they're trapped. The fire chief has to make a grueling decision based on education and more so on experience to hold his firefighters back and tell them they're gone. We're not going to lose any more firefighters.
Mr. Dills, go
I
ahead.
don't know that you're prepared to do that, sir.
So, Mr. Jackson, first off, I'll take complete ownership myself. So when I was chairman of the board, we had two, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong, but I believe we had two internal candidates apply for the chief's position. And at the time, our administrator, I called her up and I asked why that was the case. And because she felt like it was because a bachelor's degree was on that qualification. I said, well, that needs to be removed. And we can argue all day long whether you agree or disagree. I don't really care. It's okay either way. And then you know what I did is I called up our office and I said, hey, I need a list of every single lieutenant that works in our fire department. I need their cell phone number. And I called every single lieutenant. One was a bad number. I couldn't get hold of someone, but I got left a voicemail. I talked to every single lieutenant, and I said, hey, I'm going to encourage you to apply for the chief's position for several reasons. Number one, you might have a shot at getting the chief's position. Number two, if you don't, we're going to have an assistant chief spot open. Or number three, it's going to give you the experience in the event a assistant chief or fire chief opens up somewhere in the surrounding area, and we want to encourage you to set goals and do well for yourself. So that was all me. No one else. That was me. I spearheaded that, and I stand by my decision, and I don't regret it one bit. And I can't speak for these two gentlemen, but it was a tough contest. We debated for quite some time. I'm sure you got the records request of how long our executive session was. We debated for a long time about what direction we wanted to go, and I'm just going to tell you this. I feel like we made the absolute right decision, and yeah, no matter who's in this position, they're going to trip and stumble in the beginning. It's going to happen, and that's okay. I do believe he's got the finest firefighters backing him up, and I do believe that our new co-assistant chief is going to back him up as well, as long as our current assistant chief. And I feel like our lieutenants are going to back him up. So I'm a man. I made a decision. Austin's my guy, and I'm sticking to it. It is what it is. So that's what I have to say.
Can I make a quick
So
comment?
I'm not going
I
back
am
and forth. I'm just
concerned.
telling you,
I've got
I made
a
a
comment.
decision. As a
Go
man,
ahead.
I'm sticking to it. And if it fails, which it won't, but if it fails, I'll own my decision. I'll swallow my crow. But hey, I feel comfortable and confident that Chief Clements is going to do a solid job. So I stand by my decision.
Thank you.
Mr.
Look,
Logue.
and likewise, ageism is never something that's top of forefront of my mind. It's capability, it's the merit, it's the ability to do the job. And as shared, completely understand your concerns. Worst day of anyone's life or career. I can't help but recall myself, when you're talking about people being trapped inside a vehicle, that's where my mind's at. I was a 19-year-old combat veteran. There's a lot of people that are in leadership positions that go downrange and have the worst day of their life, and they're making command decisions and keeping 50, 60 people alive and making those decisions. And so I don't want to put discredit to those that go out there and serve our country and keep us free today, because I feel like it's enabled to be able to do that type of service back here local and on the home front. And that's where I feel thin blue line between our police and our fire and our EMS. I mean, you guys are the ones, and guys and gals are out there keeping us safe every single day. And you're right, that is the element of the job. It is making that call. But like the trustees here have said, we got a phenomenal leadership team of assistant chiefs, soon to be multiple there, assistant chiefs, and the guys and gals that you see stand back behind you. So, it's one body operating and working together. I think you can take a look tonight. There's a symbolic change with the patch. Exactly what was presented. There's a change of momentum and direction moving forward. And yeah, it's a patch, and we can downplay a patch, but it means so much more. And for those that buy into that and get that and understand that, are willing to put their life on the line, like someone like me as a young combat veteran, it's going to carry things forward, and you won't have to have that concern on that worst day of someone's life, because you got someone willing to give it their all and make those tough decisions. And you know what, at the end of the day, when you get that command and you say, I don't want people getting close to that vehicle or going in there because it's dangerous, you may still have someone that does not follow that order.
Right.
And that's life. And you know what happens there? Sometimes that means that person saves a miraculous amount of lives. And they sometimes come out with a silver star in the combat world, or a Medal of Honor, or a posthumous award. We can't control that. We are not always in control, and we recognize that. But as a board, I can tell you, I do feel confident in our decision as a board that you asked the question. February 27th, he was clearly hired. February 26th, he was recommended. There was an executive session prior to that. And as a local government, being very transparent, open, and communicative with the township. I mean, I heard the multiple records requests that were produced and called on, and I applaud our fiscal office for doing that, and getting that information out to you, so you can read through that and have your time to voice your perspective and concern. And I hear you, and I understand your concerns, and that's always a heavy decision to be made.
Right.
And that is something that I have to hold responsibility on myself as well. So thank you for having me in the position.
Just one comment.
Mr. Jack, I want to give you the last word. I'm just going to conclude with, we have the utmost confidence in Chief Clements to handle these hard cases and make the tough decisions when they occur. Go ahead, you get the last word.
My last word, it concerned me, Mr. Dills, when you mentioned it, Chief Clements' appointment. We know you're gonna fail, that's okay, we'll take care of it, we'll work with you. I understand that on the administrative side. I make an error on the budget, I make an error on whatever. But when dirt hits the road and you're out on a structure fire, he's the man. He's expected to be the man that makes those horrible, hard decisions based on experience that he does not have.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
I will leave, according to your speaking requirements. I have these documents in writing for you after the meeting. Thank you for your time.
Have a nice evening.